Max Fosh has technically won an Oscar, made Ratatouille in real life, become a member of the royal family, run for London mayor as a bit, cooked a frozen meal in a volcano. He is possibly the most insane YouTuber ever, with almost 5 million subscribers and over 1 billion views. But I want to know, how the heck did he get here? So over the past 2 months, I have watched every single video he has ever made, and just about every interview he's ever done to find out. But what I didn't expect to find is that he started as a nepo baby meant to work in finance. Max truly had the most pretentious nepo baby upbringing you could imagine. His dad was a retired pro cricket player who started a broker company at 28, sold it for millions, and then became CEO of an insurance company. And his mom was the daughter of the Dutch ambassador to Warsaw. And if that doesn't scream generational wealth, I don't know what does, okay? I had to look up what an ambassador and a broker company does, and I still don't understand it. But to further cement the most pretentious British background imaginable, when Max was 13, he was sent off to one of the most exclusive boarding schools in the world, Harrow School in London. This is what their school uniform looks like to this day, and I think that's all I need to say on that. I think you get the picture. So Max is sent to this school as an 8th grader, and he hates it. Because even though Max was, let's just be honest, eternally privileged, like most of the kids at that school were, he seemed to have a different outlook than the others did. Because whereas the people around him all seemed to embrace their privilege, or poshness as Max calls it.
Posh.
He didn't really seem to care. He wasn't into flexing daddy's money. He just wanted to goof around and have fun with everybody.
When I got to school, it was like, right, I want to perform. I was an all-boys boarding school. So whenever there was a school play that came up, I would basically be the only one who would audition for the girl. So I would always be the girl part in school plays, house plays, everything. So much so that I didn't play a male part in any amateur dramatics until I was 22.
But this lack of self-doubt, combined with his knack for performing, meant he didn't really fit in with anybody at Harrow. And he was pretty horrifically bullied.
One of the worst things that happened, we were going away for the weekend away, the weekend where we could go home. A boy went into my room and he got some milk and poured it behind the desktop computer into the carpet, rubbed it in, and then over the weekend, the heat from the desktop computer heated up and got it to curdle into the carpet, which meant when I got back, just my room absolutely stunk, and you could not get rid of the smell.
Eventually, though, he made it through, he got out of there, and he took a gap year in between high school and college. And in this gap year, surprise, surprise, his daddy got him an internship at an insurance company. But while he was doing this internship, Max kind of realized something.
This is terrible.
He needed to find something that he actually enjoyed, something that wouldn't crush his soul for the next 50 years of his working life. So when he finally went to college, he tried everything. He joined every single club that would let him in. And one of these clubs just so happened to be the school radio. Max hosted an on-campus radio show for 6 months, and through that, he realized that he loved performing like this. He wanted to be a radio host, which absolutely wild move, in my opinion, because who listens to the radio? When was the last time you got in your car and you thought, you know what I really want to do right now? Listen to a radio talk show. Ew! Get a life! That was really mean. If you like radio talk shows, we got no beef. I forgive you for your transgression. You're welcome. I'm really kind like that. But anyway, Max started researching a bunch of his radio idols, and he found out that most of them got their careers started by doing hospital radio. And if you, like me, have never heard the words hospital and radio together, apparently in the UK it's a big thing for hospitals to have their own radio shows. It's like a big part of the local hospital community or something. I don't know. In America, the hospital community bonds over their shared debt. I don't know. So for the next 3 years of college, Max spent his free time volunteering for a local hospital radio station, filling in the 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. time slot, which I just truly cannot believe he did while being a college student. Like, go to sleep, go to bed. Eventually, though, after months and months of putting in the time, Max got promoted to the prestigious role of the breakfast hospital radio show. And I say he was promoted to this role, but keep in mind, he is still not getting paid for any of this. This is strictly volunteer work. Though in his 3rd year volunteering, Max did get recognized for his work when he won the Best Newcomer Award from the Hospital Broadcasting Association, and subsequently got 2 offers to audition for real radio host job, which was huge for him. This was the thing that Max had been chasing for the past 3 years of his life. So he interviewed for the stations. He sent them both a highlight reel showing how good he'd gotten at radio. And the station said, never mind, because Max was too British for the British. I wish I could tell you I am joking, but his regional accent gave him too much of that posh, pretentious British vibe, so they wouldn't hire him. Imagine being so close to your dream job and they go, nah, you sound stupid. That's so sad. Especially because Max wasn't even pretentious. He wasn't a jerk, he just sounded like one. Like, throughout the 7 hours worth of interviews I have watched from him to make this video, he has never once struck me as stuck up or out of touch. And it's like so ridiculous to me, the idea that they wouldn't hire him because of his accent, that I feel like I gotta be misunderstanding something here. But I've rewatched him talking about the rejection like 3 times, and truly all he says is that they said he sounded too weird.
I obviously went into a local radio station in Newcastle sounding how I sound.
The very plummy West London accent wasn't quite what they were looking for.
As you can imagine, I didn't quite get the job in regional radio stations in the Northeast.
So, like, consider me flummoxed, I guess. But Max seemed to take the news better than I did, because he pivoted real quick. He decided that if he couldn't do radio, he wanted to be a TV host. But if he wanted to get anywhere with that, he knew he'd have to put in the reps just like he did for radio, which meant that he needed a visual medium to put himself out on. Which, amazing work ethic to work on something non-stop for 3 years, get utterly rejected, and just like, okay, well, I would have sobbed in a hole. I would have buried myself alive. What do you mean you just picked up and moved on? The utter confidence, the utter nerve to still seek out a job in the entertainment industry after the rejection just shocks me. So Max needs a visual medium, and lucky for him, his college, Newcastle University, provided the perfect opportunity for that. Newcastle ran a YouTube series called Big Market Banter, where students would go around and do man-on-the-street style interviews with other students.
What did you used to watch as a kid? That brings you like that nostalgia. The what?
So Max, seeing the perfect opportunity, applied to be one of the hosts, and that was how he got his start on YouTube. I'm just kidding, he got rejected. They said they weren't hiring. Can this guy not catch a break? At this point, it's like, come on, man. Max, my guy, how sure are you about this whole entertainment thing? Like, are you sure you don't want to just call daddy and have him get you a job at Goldman Sachs? Like, it's not going well. But instead, Max somehow managed to pick himself up again, and he said, screw you, I'll do it himself. And he gave himself a challenge. Because if the school wouldn't hire him to do man on the street videos, he'd do it on his own. So in September of 2017, he set himself a goal to make 5 videos in 5 days. Every night, he went out for hours to do man on the street interviews with drunk college kids. And then he'd chop all the footage down to just the best bits, make 2 or 3 minute videos out of each night, and post them to his personal Facebook account. And look, if you've ever gone back and watched one of your favorite YouTubers' first videos, you'll know they're usually really, really bad. I mean, heck, I just made a video watching every Smosh video ever, and their first 4 years were really, really bad. Which, to be fair, just comes with the territory of starting to make videos. Like, your first handful are gonna suck a whole lot, because you're only just learning how to do it. But so then tell me why Max's first videos were all so good? What the heck? Like, they hold up. They're fast-paced, there's not much dead space, they've got background music going, there's no fluff, he really only kept in the best bits.
I want 2 kids, and I want to call them Samwise and Frodo.
Oh, you're a big Star Trek fan.
Star Wars. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it wrong.
Like, I've never seen a YouTuber's first videos actually be good. This is unprecedented. He even had themes to structure the videos around. So in one, he would ask people the most ridiculous questions you've ever heard.
If a pregnant woman goes swimming, does that make her a human submarine? If Jesus could walk on water, does that mean he could swim on land?
In one, he had them fill in the blanks of a quote. In another, he'd just ask them general knowledge questions.
Who was your favourite character from Romeo and Juliet?
To be honest, I really liked Mufasa.
Or sometimes he'd really just say whatever the heck he wanted, but that was phenomenal too. Like, these are genuinely videos that I could picture myself today just showing a friend for fun. These videos hit, dude. And when Max posted them to his personal Facebook, they did pretty well. The first one got 500 likes, all the others got around 200, which I think is pretty wild for a personal Facebook account, especially since all his other posts had like 20 likes each. Suffice to say, Max saw potential with this thing. So once he finished the challenge, he made a YouTube channel called Street Smart, where he cross-posted the original 5 videos and then made more whenever he had the time. And it wasn't the most consistent. Sometimes he'd post 3 videos in a month, and sometimes he'd go 2 months without a word. But he kept making stuff when he could, and people were really liking it. Over the next few months, he started to grow an actual fan base. Not too big of one, he only had 1,500 subscribers by the end of his first 14 months making content. But it was enough for him to decide in December of 2018, 6 months after graduating college, college that he wanted to try and pursue YouTube full-time.
TV is losing the battle against online. So what they're doing is they're trying to get names and celebrities into shows to immediately get an audience. Why would I go down the TV route, apply against hundreds of other people just to get on a show, when I can pick up my camera and my microphone, go out and make my own TV show? So 2019, I'm committing to making these videos kind of full-time.
And it went like really well. Despite only being at 1,500 subscribers, his views were doing great. But then we roll into 2019 and something huge happened. In February, Max did a collab video with Zach Alsop, another British YouTuber who he'd filmed some videos for before. Zach had a video idea where he wanted to try and sneak someone into London's Fashion Week by just dressing them in the worst outfit imaginable. Because as he points out, the bar for high-end fashion is really very low. And Zach asked Max to play the role of the model he would sneak in.
We needed a confident, unfashionable, blank canvas of a man.
So they went to the JCPenney's of London, put Max in the worst outfit they could find, went out to near where Fashion Week was happening, and had Max walk down the street as Zach and some other friends yelled his name and ran after him taking pictures. Basically, they wanted to make everyone think that they were the paparazzi taking pictures of this famous model. And against all odds, it worked. Max was stormed by the real paparazzi. He told them his name was Maximus Bucharest. They asked who he was wearing and he just blurted out some bookstore name. And within hours, Maximus Bucharest was plastered all over social media as London's next top model. And now they had leverage. So Max and Zach DM'd the official London Fashion Week and were like, hey, you want us there? And they got 2 free tickets to the next day's show. So they got Max a new outfit, and the next day, Maximus Bucharest soared once more. The paparazzi were still loving him. At one point, there was a wall of them blocking an entire road just so they could snap a picture. And when Max went into the fashion show, people were also so obsessed with him. Like, be so for real, he was a star.
Natural. He is a natural at work. I am so impressed with him.
So annoyed at having come to this show. I told my agent I didn't want to come, but she's like, you've got to go. I was like, fine.
So late February, Zach posted this video to his channel, and Max is hyped because Zach has like 30,000 subscribers, so this is going to be great exposure for him. And then the video gets 16 million views, and our boy Max is skyrocketed. In 2 weeks, he goes from 1,500 subscribers to over 80,000.
I was just like opening up YouTube Studio and just seeing.
Overnight, just went absolutely bananas.
I went from 1,000 subscribers to 80,000 subscribers. It was the maddest week.
Fucking hell, guys, we've got a gold mine here.
He finally had the breakthrough that he had been searching for since he started hospital radio, and he locked in. Within a month, he completely rebranded his YouTube channel, changing the name from Street Smart to Max Fosh. He started doing Street Smart in more locations and in daylight with people who weren't always hammered out of their mind. And he started a new series alongside Street Smart called Unconventional, where he'd go to different conventions and make mini comedy documentaries about what they were like. And this was a brilliant series. It ropes you in from 2 angles, because even if you have no clue who Max Fosh is, he just covers really interesting topics throughout the series. Like, yeah, I am interested in what a tattoo convention is like, and I do want to know what the heck an adult entertainment convention could possibly entail. The latter video did traumatize me a bit, would not recommend.
Oh, that was the worst day of my life.
But then, second angle, even if you don't care about the topic at all, if you're already a fan of Max and of Street Smart, then Unconventional maintains that same comedic bantering vibe. So you're still probably gonna like the video regardless of the topic. Like, I couldn't care less about what a dog convention looks like, but if Max is there, then I'm there. And just to show you guys why I love Max so much, and I think he's so funny, here's a quick highlight reel.
Dog spelt backwards is God. Coincidence? Yes.
What the environment?
Your hand is on my shoulder.
We're making some purchases ready for tomorrow. Do you want to see?
No. Pigs in Blankets copyrighted. Who's it copyrighted by? Pepper. Zodiac sign. You're from America. You love all that mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, you guys aren't into like astrology?
No, we're into science more.
And look, I know I sound like a corporate shill for Max Fosh right now. I sound like his next video is gonna be, I hired someone to compliment me for half an hour. But I cannot stress enough how much I was not a fan of Max before making this video. Like, I'd only ever seen maybe 7 of his videos. The last thing of his I watched was almost a year ago. But I'm hooked. Though I am very relieved to be able to say that finally, at the top of his 2020 content, I found something I didn't like. I know I'm really brave. I'm a warrior. I'm setting up a GoFundMe for funding bravery. It was beginning 2020. We all know what's about to happen. But in the 3 months before lockdown, Max was still making all the content that I just rambled on about loving so much. But it all just felt really stale and bad. Out of his first 12 videos of 2020, I only enjoyed 2 of them, and all the others felt really bland. Like for Unconventional, he went to a drag convention, which is fine and dandy, but it wasn't funny, and he just made a video going to a drag convention 6 months before, so there was nothing interesting to learn from it. It just felt like I was watching the same exact video over again, but take out all the jokes. And as for Street Smart, it truly just didn't hit. I don't know if the people Max was interviewing weren't that interesting, or if his bantering just got worse, or if he was just asking them bad questions. But all the Street Smart videos in this era felt like he went out for a day, filmed a bunch of people, spent hours doing it, and then realized in the end that none of the content he got was actually good or funny, but he still had to upload something, so he just kind of scraped together whatever he could.
What's the main difference between the Brits and the Americans?
I think you have more of a dry sense of humor. You know,
And yours is more wet?
Like, it was content. I watched it. It happened. But I think the whole Street Smart gambit was getting pretty old by this point. And maybe that's just because I watched like 80 episodes of it within 5 days. I'm pretty sure that's not how the content was meant to be ingested. So that could be a valid argument. But I don't know, man. I just really didn't think they were funny anymore. But then the pandemic happened and lockdown happened, and Max ran into a tiny little problem.
My USB is large social gatherings and interviewing people at large social gatherings. So the banning of large social gatherings is quite tricky.
Also, surprise, I'm in a new room now. I'm on fall break. But when lockdown happened, Max took a big swing.
I had this frame in my flat, and I'd always said to my flatmate, I was like, mate, I'm going to find out who that is. Like, and I initially planned on making one video because I thought it'd be really easy.
He decided to make a video tracking down this stock image girl. And he thought it would be a one-day process, just something to fill in the gaps while he couldn't do Street Smart. He'd find her, interview her, move on with his life. But it proved a bit harder than he thought, because he spent hours and hours calling stock photo companies, searching old catalogs, asking his Instagram followers.
Hi, folks.
But every time he got a lead, it just led to another dead end. But he was determined now, so even though he didn't find her, he released the video anyway and asked his viewers to let him know if they had any leads on who this girl was. And this video popped off. It was one of his best performing videos up to that point, and the audience was committed to finding this girl. They made a Reddit page. Max got hundreds of emails and DMs. He went on the Daily News to talk about it.
Lots of people have been using lockdown to, learn German, do a bit of cooking. Did you feel like you spent your lockdown productively so far?
Until finally, in his third and final installment of the series, he found her. And she said, "Please leave me alone."
I do realise you have massive followings and it's all fun, I understand. When you're not the one that people are searching for, I can't help to feel like a contestant on the Hunger Games. I've left social media for many years and have a quiet life away from it all. I prefer it kept that way. I appreciate you and your followers understanding this matter.
And that was that. Pretty anticlimactic ending, but the series still did really well, and it gave Max a new niche to jump into, putting way too much effort into things that do not matter at all because he is committed to the bit. So throughout the rest of the year, he explored this niche a bit more, doing a bunch more videos just over-committing to the bit. He did stuff like tricking his parents into signing a legally binding contract to forever acknowledge him as their favorite child.
According to our parents...
But this went behind my back.
That's the point.
Publishing his friend's texts as a book so that she could technically become a best-selling author.
This outsold Stephen Fry, J.K. Rowling.
And these videos all did great. My guy was thriving. Like, on average, this niche of videos got triple the amount of views compared to all the Street Smart videos that he'd made in the past year. But for some forsaken reason, even though these videos were absolutely popping off, Max kept trying to go back to the Street Smart format. Like, it's run its course. Let it die, man. Please. Watching these 2020 Street Smart videos, I finally understand why YouTubers always retire their best series, because they don't want them to live long enough to become their worst.
When do you abandon a format that's working that well?
Every year we've had formats that do really well, but if I just kept doing the formats that were crushing back in 2020, I wouldn't be where I am now. Eventually they would fizzle out. I'm a big believer in ending on a format while it's not too old.
And if only Max, along with every sitcom I've ever seen, would take that message, the world would be a much better place.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Luckily, throughout the year, Max did seem to realize that Street Smart was no longer his bread and butter, his broccoli and green beans, if you will. So he was pretty much done with the series by the time 2021 rolled around, only releasing the very occasional Street Smart video from that point on. Instead, once we got into 2021, Max committed to the content that had served him best in 2020, and that was overcommitting to the bit. And really, I think Max best described what his channel now was when he said,
"I'm driving hundreds of miles for hours for a little bit of fun.
Like, that basically became his motto from this point on. For example, in one of his videos, which may honestly be my favorite I've seen from him so far, he printed out pictures of himself as Maximus Bucharest, his model alias from London Fashion Week, bought a bunch of shirts from H&M and Primark, and then ironed the pictures of himself onto the shirts so that he effectively had Maximus Bucharest merch. And then he went back to H&M and Primark, returned the shirts that now had his face on them, and they just accepted the returns. They didn't like even look at them. They were just like, okay. And not only did they accept them, but they re-racked them and everything. So technically, Max is now an official fashion designer, and somebody somewhere out there owns a shirt with Maximus Bucharest at a skate park. And they might not even know who Max is. Like, if this isn't overcommitting to the bit, I simply don't know what is. Though I will say I do feel a little mixed about this video, because while it is an utterly iconic move, it also feels like it should be illegal. Like, I don't think it actually is, because the stores accepted the returns and all, but it just feels wrong, you know? But then again, I don't think it's causing any harm. Like, the corporation definitely isn't suffering from it. The customers aren't forced to buy the shirts or anything. And I am definitely still obsessed with this video, but I don't know, it just feels weird, you know? Max also made a video where he legally owned his own airline for 2 hours.
Welcome to Fosh Airways.
He convinced a small airline company to sell one of their airplanes to him for 2 hours on a Tuesday under the brand name Fosh Airways. And then he took some passengers on a 30-minute flight so he could say Fosh Airways was technically operational.
We're going to be doing a 30-minute flight from Oxford to Oxford, just, you know, getting up and then coming straight back down again.
But by far the most insane thing that Max did in 2021 was running for London mayor. You know London, like the place, and mayor, like the job? Yeah, that. He did that. Apparently he got the idea for this series when he texted some friends in a group chat and said, like, some weird people are running for mayor this year. And one of them responded saying, well, you won't do it.
And I think I looked into it, and this moment in my apartment where I was with my housemate Dan, and I was kind of like pacing furiously. I was like, is this a good idea or is this awful? And he was like, mate, just go for it.
So Max said, you're so right, bestie. I should run for mayor for a YouTube video. That's what you meant, right? That's what you wanted me to do. And without a second thought, he paid the nearly $14,000 entry fee to get his name on the ballot. And originally he was just going to make a single video out of it. But then he realized, wait, I just dumped $14,000 into a single YouTube video. I should probably stretch this out of it.
It was almost like, oh, I've got myself in this mess. I now need to do something about it.
Though to make it a good series, Max knew he needed a good story. He needed a rival, something to make people care about his journey. But at the same time, he needed to stay apolitical so that he wouldn't lose the audience of whatever political side he rivaled with. And luckily, the perfect candidate to rival fell right into his lap, and that candidate was Lawrence Fox. This guy stood with no big existing political party, and pretty much nobody liked or supported him, which made him the perfect adversary for Max. And I did do a little digging on Lawrence when I was scripting this part of the video, because I wanted to give you guys some context on like who he is and to understand for myself why nobody liked him. So I did a quick Wikipedia search, which then turned into an hour-long deep dive about the horrors of this man. So before we talk about Max's series, let's take a quick detour to talk about Lawrence Fox. So about that detour, what's up, gang? It is editing Chloe. I scripted the whole part about Lawrence and his wacky, terrible little political views, but then I realized that's not important to Max's story at all. And knowing all his political views just makes me really sad because they're really terrible. But yeah, I cut the detour out because I don't want to talk about it because it's just really sad. I'll put some of the stuff I found up now if you're like curious. I hope Lawrence has become a better person in these past 4 years. So let's just get back to the series, shall we please? Once Max had gotten his name on the ballot, he knew his first move needed to be sabotage because this was all for the bit. He just wanted people to have something fun to watch. So over the 8-episode series, Max did a bunch of stuff where he was just a bit of a nuisance to Lawrence, and Max could do literally anything, and Lawrence was just so peeved off at him. Like when Max literally just tried to have a debate with him, Lawrence just relentlessly ridiculed and mocked him.
Totally,
You're a baby.
Okay.
Why are you such a baby?
Can I talk, Lawrence?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much.
in then.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, so you won't hear my response?
No, because iPhone storage full.
Oh, your iPhone
That's
storage
your
is full.
bullshit. You look like some small baby.
And like, I guess he was making some kind of almost fair points in between his jabs, like saying that Max was diluting the votes for mayor, which would have been a pretty good point if Max's main running point was not, please don't vote for me.
On numerous occasions, I told people not to vote for me. I said that I'd be a terrible mayoral candidate. I tweeted multiple times for people not to vote for me. I want to get more young people to vote. Not for me. I said on numerous occasions, don't vote for me. I'd make a terrible mayor.
And then Lawrence was like, well, you clearly don't care about knife violence and young children being murdered, though. And Max was like, what the heck are you talking about?
Why didn't you care about the young children that are being murdered on our streets every single day?
Lawrence again.
All you did.
Can I talk? Is that okay?
But far and away, my favorite part of this series was Max's manifesto, his public declaration of his policy and aim. Max needed somewhere to publish his manifesto, so he, as any sane candidate would do, bought the domain name www.lawrencefox.org and published his own manifesto there. But what I really love about this move is the manifesto itself, because in order to come up with his political policies, he did a play on Street Smart where he asked Londoners what they'd like to see their mayor do, and he only put their worst ideas in. So according to his manifesto, if Max were to be elected mayor, he would add a Jurassic Park to London, provide every house with a free cow so that they could know when it's raining.
You know, like when it rains, the cows sit down. So if you gave each household a cow, you just look in the garden.
Nick Cage would be allowed to steal one important document from a national museum every year, and a seed would be put in every cigarette butt in London so that smoking could save the trees.
I speak for the trees.
Now, at the end of the day, Max did not, in fact, become mayor of London, which was a success because that's not what he wanted. But overall, this one's a really fun series. I wouldn't say it's a must-watch, but if you're looking for something to do, you'll definitely be entertained. There's a lot of stuff I haven't covered, so there's so much more to be discovered watching the series. Also in 2021, pretty big deal, Max went on a stand-up tour, which saying it now, I can feel you rolling your eyes behind the screen, because it feels like every influencer you've ever heard of is going on some sort of tour nowadays, and half of the time it just feels like a cash grab. But I do want to give Max some credit here, because he was pretty early to the trend of like influencer tours. Like back in 2021, I do not think this was as big of a thing as it is now, and I could be wrong, I don't know, let me know if you have different perceptions of it. But I think Max was taking like a pretty big risk here, and you can definitely tell that he was a bit nervous about it in his announcement video.
The London one, anyone who watched this from London, I'm gonna really need to rally round you because I've booked, it's quite a big venue. Yep, sure. Also, please bring friends, families.
Plus, I really don't think he did this tour as a cash grab. I think he did it more as like a challenge to himself to see if he could make funny stuff outside of YouTube and without all the bells and whistles that editing can add.
That also was an experiment in trying to make me as versatile as an entertainer as I possibly could be. I knew I could tell a story in 10 to 15 minutes on YouTube and make someone laugh and have them there. How good am I at doing that for 60 minutes on stage where there's no retakes, there's no repeats, and there's 2,000 people who have paid 20 quid to sit there? That is why I spent a lot of time writing the show. I did a tour for kind of a number of months and did the Edinburgh Fringe Festival where you perform every day for a month.
Now, I couldn't tell you how funny the special actually was because it does cost $12 to watch, and I'm not even monetized here, guys, okay? I ain't doing that. I'm sorry. You know, comment and subscribe, and maybe one day I'll watch all the YouTuber comedy specials, but I really don't want to lose money making this video. I did look at some of the reviews, though, and they were mixed. A lot of people really liked it, but others felt it was just a big ad to go watch his YouTube videos, or that at best his comedy relied way too heavily on the audience having already seen his videos. But do keep in mind, this is only like 10 reviews I have to go off of, and most of them were really positive. But regardless of the show's quality, I just think it's really cool that Max legitimately tried. Keith and Zach would be proud.
It's good cookie.
In 2022, Max continued to go crazy, Scorsese. He reached 1 million subscribers. He got 90 million views across the 24 videos posted in this year alone. Like, his channel was blowing up, okay? And I legitimately enjoyed every video Max put out this year. But there are two specific ones that we have to talk about. One of which remains his highest viewed video to date, but it was almost such a flop that Max wasn't even gonna post it.
Oh, that was the most stressful video.
See, Max was scrolling Instagram one day when he saw a post about this photographer photographer from the 70s, Mark Gubin, who had gotten bored one day and decided to paint the words "Welcome to Cleveland" on the top of his roof. Mark lived pretty close to an airport, so the idea was that people would be able to see the sign out their windows as they were landing and be like, "Yay, Cleveland time!" The only problem with this was that Mark did not live in Cleveland. He lived in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 4 states and 500 miles away from Cleveland. Now I know what you may be thinking, but Mark was not in fact a senile old man who thought he was in Cleveland. He just wanted to mess with everybody landing in Milwaukee and make them think they booked the wrong flight.
Why'd you do it? And I said, it was Wednesday. I thought it's a hard world. We need some kind of little humor or something else that sort of makes people smile a little bit, and it has for a lot of years.
So Max saw an Instagram post about this guy and his sign from one of those like cool history facts accounts, and he thought, I want to do that.
I saw that and thought, that's a really good story. It's a really fun story. How do I make this UK-centric? In my voice.
Max wanted to mess with people landing in the London Gatwick Airport, the second busiest airport in the entire UK, by the way. So he reached out to a bunch of people who owned land near the airport and eventually managed to rent out a patch of land from a local family for 60 days. And in that land, he laid out giant letters made of tarp to make a sign saying "Welcome to Luton," which is like a notoriously hated place just outside London.
There is a reputation about Luton.
The worst town in the UK. This always causes a lot of debate until we remember that Luton exists.
This is why I will never go back to Luton.
Luton is the worst.
Just wondering what it's like.
It's up there with one of the worst towns I've been to.
So the goal was people would be landing in Gatwick, see the sign, and then panic that they had accidentally booked a flight to Luton instead of Gatwick. But this is where the video almost completely flopped, because Max had put in all this work, calling dozens of places to try and rent land, getting the letters to make the sign, plus spending 7 hours actually setting it up. He even booked a flight to make sure it was actually visible and legible to the people landing. But if the video ended there, it would have absolutely sucked. Because where's the intrigue? Like, the intro would have been, I made a giant sign to prank people, and some people may have seen it, but we can't be sure. But theoretically, if they did, I really got them. And that's the most pointless video you could ever make. I'm not watching that video.
All I had was just tarpaulin on the ground. It required an organic reaction from Twitter or social media or somebody. And that was the scariest thing, because there was no, if that didn't happen, we wouldn't have had an ending. It would have, like, we've been a video which would have flopped. It'd be like, oh, see, that was funny over there.
Luckily, Max got that organic reaction he needed, because a bunch of people started tweeting about it, and this thing blew up. There were dozens of articles written about it. It made international news. It was the most viewed story on the BBC's website. Like, it truly exploded, which meant that when Max posted the video revealing that he was the one who made the sign, it popped off. It popped off so hard, guys. And hence it became Max's highest viewed video to date with nearly 18 million views. So that was huge, and I'm sure it played a big role in him hitting 1 million subscribers that year. But there's still one more video from 2022 that we have to talk about, because in February of 2022, Max became the richest man in the world.
It's come through. The certificate, everything.
Richer than Elon, Zuckerberg, Bezos, Gates, for about 7 minutes. And it was technically fraud.
I need to shut this down very quickly.
See, Max discovered one day that it is surprisingly easy in the UK to create a company and go public with it. So he started a business that supposedly manufactured noodles and stated in the paperwork that he would like to issue 10 billion shares. Now, quick 30-second finance lesson, because I sure didn't know what a share was before watching this video. Imagine there's a kid named Phineas. Phineas started a lemonade stand 3 days ago, and it's doing really well. So he decides that he wants to take his lemonade stand business public, meaning that other people can buy a percentage of the business so that they'll get a portion of whatever profits the lemonade stand brings in the future. So Phineas decides that he wants to sell 50% of his ownership in the lemonade stand, so he decides to issue 2 shares at $5 each. This means that 2 people can pay him $5 each, and then they'll each own 25% of the lemonade stand company. And if people are willing to pay that price, then that means that that is the value of Phineas's lemonade stand. So the price of the shares says, like, how much your company is worth, basically. So going back to Max, when he set up his business, he put in the paperwork that he wanted to issue 10 billion shares. And then he roamed around London until he found someone willing to buy one of these shares for $50. So when this random Londoner bought one of the shares for $50, that meant that technically Max's company was now worth $50 times 10 billion shares, which is $500 billion.
The market cap of unlimited money has been assessed as £500 billion.
But there was also like a tiny problem.
Due
Due to lack of revenue activity, there is a highly likelihood that UML being accused of fraudulent activity.
So he closed the company pretty immediately, but for the 7 minutes between reading that letter and closing the company, Max was the richest man alive. So what do you have to say about that, losers? I don't know why I'm calling you guys losers for this. Just go with it. Now, you may be wondering, why did we have to talk about this video? Because I said there were 2 videos from this year that we needed to discuss. And the other one was Max's highest viewed video ever, so that makes sense. But why this one? What is so important about this video? Nothing, I just really liked it. I thought it was really fun. But again, all of his videos from this year absolutely hit. And just to give you guys a vibe of his 2022 content, I'm just gonna read some of the titles to you. We've got I DJ'd at a famous nightclub and only played Beethoven. I served roadkill to food critics without telling them.
The meat looks kind of janky.
I spent 24 hours with a literal elephant in the room. And I sued my sister for a crime she committed as a child.
We, the jury, find the defendant in the case Fosh versus Fosh not guilty of pushing him over in 2001, knocking out his 2 front teeth.
Like, this year hit, okay? Legitimately a joy to watch all of Max's videos from 2022. Max was doing swell. Now on to 2023, when Max made his most dangerous video ever, and honestly, maybe one of the most dangerous videos any YouTuber has made ever.
It's probably the scariest thing that I've ever done.
And ironically, it was also probably his least planned video ever. See, way back in 2021, Max had an idea. He wanted to cook ready-made curry in a volcano so that he could technically eat the world's hottest curry. In case you haven't noticed, Max really loves to do things technically. The only problem with this idea was he couldn't use a volcano like this or this. He needed a volcano that was actually erupting so that he could actually cook the curry on it, but that also wasn't violently exploding so he wouldn't die. He needed something called a shield volcano, where the lava just kind of slowly oozes out. So he hired a bunch of volcano experts from different countries and told them to let him know the second a shield volcano erupted, so that he could drop everything, get on a flight to them, and cook some curry. And it took a bit longer than he expected.
So we waited 2 years.
So Max went on with his life. He went on tour, he ran for mayor, and then one day, on July 12th of 2023, he got a call.
We have an eruption. I need to get to the airport as soon as possible.
So he dropped everything and got on a 9-hour flight to Iceland. And when he landed, despite it already being midnight, the volcano expert he'd hired said they needed to do this thing now or else they'd miss their chance. So it's 1 a.m. in Iceland, and running on pure adrenaline, they started the 4-hour trek to get to lava. And finally, after 2 years of waiting, they were there. 5 a.m. in Iceland, standing at the edge of an active volcano. And then volcano expert Chris said,
"Oh fuck, I've forgotten the gas masks in the car."
Now you may be wondering why they actually needed gas masks. Like, is this really so important? And so was I, but don't worry, Max is kind enough to explain it here to us.
Sulfur comes at the ground, right? And at the moment it's in a westerly direction, so the sulfur is blowing away from us. But if the winds change into an easterly direction, the sulfur will come over us, it will mixture with the urea and sweat on our skin and turn into sulfuric acid.
So this was really quite bad. And it wasn't like they could just turn around and grab the masks real quick. They were a 4-hour hike into the middle of nowhere. So Chris came up with a very inventive solution, which was him saying, don't worry about it.
And he said, no, we'll be all right because the wind's in the other direction at the moment. It's like, well, what if the wind changes, Chris?
Now, mind you, there's already a chance that this volcano just caves in and they burn alive. So it's already a pretty dangerous video. But now, on top of that, if the wind decides to slightly change directions, their faces burn off. And this is what I meant when I said this video wasn't very planned out, because it gets worse. Because Max accepts the risk, no gas masks, they go straight to the lava, and then when they are right at the lava, he goes,
"It's gonna melt the plastic, isn't it? I thought you had tinfoil."
You cannot make this up. He forgot a dish to cook the curry in. He had been planning this video for 2 years, and he forgot the dish. What it, Max? Come on, man. My guy, Max. Luckily, volcano guy Chris had an empty can of Monster, so he cut it up to make into a makeshift pan, but like, come on. No gas masks, no dish, arguably 2 of the most critical elements for this video.
I don't have a knife and fork.
This was 2 years in the planning.
Well, it was mainly 2 years in the planning of just waiting for the volcano to erupt. We hadn't really thought what would happen when it did erupt.
So that was cooking a frozen meal in a volcano. It turned out good in the end, but like, good golly. Max really was just running on adrenaline and luck. He also turned Mr. Beast into cheese that year. It was truly a time. What? For 2024, Max was rolling with the same type of content. He made Ratatouille in real life, where he actually had a rat crawling on his head to pick which food he put into a dish. He held a hot dog eating contest between a professional eater and a grizzly bear. Spoiler alert, the grizzly bear did win. And he also made one of the only videos of his that I had seen before making this video, where he had a bunch of 7-year-olds help him write a stand-up set and then performed that set to one of the most renowned comedy houses in London.
No. Mikey, help me, I'm stuck in the hole.
And I simply have to bring this one up because it came out in March of 2024, which means that I watched it like a year and a half ago, and I still think about it to this day. Like, I think this video was part of my inspiration to start making YouTube videos, because I saw it and it was so freaking funny, and I was like, I want to do something like that. I could do that. Granted, I do make very different content than that, but like, it really inspired me. Highly recommend this video. It's really funny, and I legitimately still think about it minimum once every other month. But on the other end of the spectrum, there's also a video from 2024 that I watched and thought, wow, I hate it all. Being British, Max had noticed how hyped Americans get when British royalty visits America, so he decided to make up a fake royal family member, fly to New York, and pretend to be them to see if he could get special treatment. And wow, was it way too easy to impersonate a royal who doesn't even exist. All he did was buy a nice outfit, hire 2 security guards, ask some friends to act like paparazzi, and yeah, that was it. Which, like, yeah, it's some effort, but it should take more, because this was all he needed, and people were upset. Random tourists started asking for pictures. He was given a free helicopter tour of New York. He had a friend go into some pretentious store and tell them he was visiting, and they immediately shut down an entire floor for his visit. And truly, this store went crazy Scorsese. They gave him 2 personal shopping assistants, more free champagne than any one man can or should drink. They thought he was Metro Man come to life, okay?
That's when I got the brilliant idea to fake my death.
They did so much that even though Max went in planning to buy nothing, it became too awkward not to.
So I thought, right, what I'll do is I'll buy some stuff, I'll keep the receipt and come back 2 days later. So I walked around, I spent $2,500 on 4 items of clothing.
But still, everything was going pretty flawlessly right until Max stepped out of the store.
As soon as we leave, I get a message on Instagram from one of the women who worked on the shop floor being like, I knew it was you. You're not allowed to post that. We'll sue you. This is fraud. You impersonated somebody else.
So Max called up his lawyer and he said they couldn't actually sue him since he wasn't impersonating like a real person, but he couldn't return the clothes. So he did waste $2,500 on the ugliest clothes ever.
Hideous stuff, right?
But I think what's really noteworthy about this video is that sometimes I just really hate capitalism. Like, just because people thought some obscure royal was visiting New York, they gave him free helicopter tours, hundreds of dollars worth of booze, shut down an entire store. Like, is this not kind of disgusting? Because the rich people of the world do not need free stuff. They can pay. They aren't cash-strapped for a good helicopter store. They're doing fine. And I don't blame Max for this, because he just wanted to see how far places would go, but I do blame the corporations. Because I have this like crazy idea that what if instead of giving away free products to billionaires, you like pay your employees more? I don't know. I'm just yapping. Okay, crazy idea. I know. Hey, look at that. I'm back in this room now. So this all brings us back to 2025, the year that we are in as of right now. We're not going to talk about this year a whole lot, the reasons for which are twofold. 1, not much has happened in the realm of Max Fosh this year. But 2, and arguably far more importantly, I've been working on this video for way too long. I want to talk about something else now. So there's really only one thing from this year that I want to touch on, which is that Max appears to have started a new series where he stays in weird places until he accomplishes a certain goal. So far, he's done 2 videos in this series. I lived in a bowling alley until I scored a perfect game, and I lived in a go-kart track until I beat the world record. And I think this is worth mentioning because to me it reads as him trying to establish a new broccoli and green beans bread and butter core series so that he doesn't fall into the street smart trap again, where he just keeps doing the same type of videos he's been doing until the format is beaten into the ground like Mufasa on a warm summer's day. So I think trying out like a new format this year is a great play, because his other style of videos of like overcommitting to the bit is still absolutely popping off, but I can definitely see it getting to the point where it's like, oh great, Max Fosh is technically gonna do something crazy again. Didn't see that coming. So I do think it's a smart move. That being said, I did not enjoy these videos that much. I don't know if it's because Max hasn't completely figured out the format yet, or if it's just because it's not what I've come to expect when watching a Max Fosh video, but they just don't really hit for me. Like, I think Max definitely can make this a really good series. I just don't think it's there yet. And that's Max Fosh for you. He's insane, he makes phenomenal content, he seems like a genuinely good guy, and I really hope that last statement ages well. Subscribe for more YouTuber deep dives. I'll see you next time.
Guys, that was fun, wasn't it?